What are SARMs? Should you take SARMs? SARMs are big muscle drug, but are they safe? Though sold as a state-of-the-art performance enhancer, these drugs are unregulated. Here's all you need to know. SARMs are very much like steroids and aren't the same. They function by binding to your androgen receptors, causing changes in your DNA that increase the ability to grow your muscles. Yet steroids are a blunt tool. They can also affect other body parts, leading to side effects such as prostate problems, hair loss, and acne. Nevertheless, SARMs are said to be selective tissue. They target your muscles without setting off the same reaction chain. These are often taken, rather than injected, in pill form. The side effect? There was none approved for human consumption. Google searches for SARMs, or selective androgen receptor modulators, like Androgen and Ostarine, have steadily increased over the last 5 years. Although there is no way to know how many of us are consuming them, a study of the famous Fatberg of London, the mass of oil and organic matter contained in the sewers of the city, found SARMs present in higher quantities than MDMA and cocaine. Is SARMs legal to buy? Yes, currently, they are not hard to buy online and offline. It's not surprising that a variety of UK-based companies have emerged to satisfy this increasing demand, others, no doubt mindful of any risks from the selling of unlicensed drugs. Rely on legal disclaimers, identify their products as research laboratory chemicals, and alert prospective customers. These items are not available for human consumption under any circumstances. That should give you others pause for thought. U.S. authorities launched a crackdown on SARMs in 2017. The director of the Office of Compliance at the FDA Drug Evaluation and Research Center, Donald D. Ashley, said, "We are extremely concerned about unscrupulous companies selling bodybuilding products with potentially hazardous ingredients." He cautioned that SARMs were associated with serious safety issues, including the potential to increase the risk of heart attack or stroke and life-threatening consequences. How were SARMs discovered? SARMs were discovered by mistake. A scientist named Professor James T. Dalton worked in the early 1990s on experimental therapies for prostate cancer when he discovered the molecule androgen, the first SARM. It was of little use to cure prostate cancer, but it had a profound effect on the development of the muscle. What we looked for at the time was the opposite, but we have turned nearly all our attention to that. We realized that we did have something remarkable. Dalton went on to develop a better version a few years later, known as Ostarine. In clinical trials, older men undergoing a 12-week course of the drug improved lean muscle mass and decreased fat while achieving more than 15% improvement in the strength of steep climbs. But a subsequent study in patients with cancer failed to produce the desired results, and the production of the drug stopped. For his findings, Dalton has since attempted to curb the companies that operate a black market. We reached out to a couple of them with a cease and desist letters. We got in touch the FDA to try and shut them down, he says. But it's rife, and there's nothing that can be done to regulate it. Do SARMs have side effects? The details here are mainly anecdotal. Users report strength gains on online forums but also often seek advice on issues such as high blood pressure, skin rashes, and impotence. Eyesight issues seem to be particularly common. Androgen is stated to give a green or yellow tinge to users' vision. Much of the information available online comes from sellers and YouTubers, so there is a tendency to skew optimistic at the advice. Dr. Ian Bordley, a senior researcher in sports psychology at the University of Birmingham, says, if someone uses them on their own, it is in their interest to feel they can use them securely. I think that's the case for SARMs. Even if consumers perform significant amounts of research into their chosen drugs, the conclusions they draw are not necessarily correct. One of the issues we also see is that data is distorted and used selectively to support their behavior, he says. This is a pretty dangerous activity. Here, 3 people use SARMs to express their experiences. They had decided to remain anonymous. SARMs user number 1, the personal trainer. A personal trainer of 35 years, James had initially dismissed SARMs as a fitness fad. There are a lot of drugs coming out on the market that says they're doing this and that, but they're doing absolutely nothing most of the time, he says. That changed when he saw YouTubers. He valued promoting them. I was sitting up thinking, yeah, I'm interested now. Alan had never taken steroids but was fascinated to find a drug that could help him retain his athletic performance, having reached his mid-30s. He placed an order for Ostarine, which he had seen described as one of the mildest SARMs, and started a small dose on what he thought was. The problems began virtually immediately. At lunchtime, James took his first dose, then left the house to do some errands before going to the gym. Within hours, an odd feeling engulfed him, anxious, shaking, a general sense of uneasiness. Alan hoped the feelings would fade, but they got stronger, instead. The fear was persistent after a few days, he says. After a little over 2 weeks, that's when I was like, this isn't for me. He began researching online to seek help about his symptoms before giving up on SARMs. He remembers being told, man up, you're going to get through it, you're going to grow in no time. Instead, James decided to follow his instincts. I'd rather have my mental health intact than muscles that are slightly bigger. SARMs user number 2. The sports trainer. Dave, a tennis trainer in his late 30s, first discovered about 2 years ago that SARMs were being advertised online. He recalled that they were sold as an alternative drug that would have similar effects on you. For 2 decades, Dave had gone to the gym, working out 3 to 4 days a week. I still look at supplements, but I have never gone down the route with steroids, he says. The risk to health has always been that bit too high for me. Dave started doing more research. He joined Facebook groups, watched videos from YouTube, and was reading scientific papers. I wanted to make sure this was as safe as it could be if I were going to do it, he says. He ordered Ostarine online approximately a year after he first heard of SARMs. He soon noticed body changes in the mirror. He had a leaner and more muscular body. The only downside was inevitable headaches. Andy went on to try another SARM called LGD4033, which almost quartered his bench curl. But after 2 cycles of SARMs, he concluded that was sufficient. He still had lingering concerns about the long-term health implications. Maybe I would take them longer once there is more research, he says. SARMs user number 3. The gym rat. Peter, a London-born 34-year-old, used to use steroids but left after contracting severe acne. 2 years ago, he watched a YouTube video promoting SARMs, basically saying they have dead low risks and all the anabolic steroid benefits. His first Ostarine course seemed workable. In a short time, I placed on quite a bit of muscle. I was lean, and I looked very healthy, he says. The symptoms were less severe than when he was taking steroids, but SARMs tended to be much better, and the side effects were less extreme. Peter put another order and proceeded to run 3 cycles more. Peter discovered a troubling trend at halfway through his 4th cycle. His testicles had shrunk. One day, I just woke up, and they'd gone, he says. He stopped taking SARMs and started taking hormones to set off the average production of testosterone in his body. It just didn't work. I was doing all I could, and they just not come back, he says. So, I decided to turn to anabolics. Peter claims that he was given oral steroids under the influence of SARMs, which shut down the natural production of testosterone in his body. He is now cycling hormones permanently. I am happy to do what I have been doing now for the rest of my life. Instead of taking dangerous SARMs, we have a better alternative. Please click in the link in the description and see for yourself.